I'll try this out. So who are you?
My name's George Rabutsky, and I'm the... Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm going to look right at you.
Yeah.
Looking at you.
Forget the camera's on.
So my name's George Rabutsky, and I'm the co-founder of My Next Customer and the CEO of ROI Works, Search Marketing.
Very cool. And who are you?
I'm Dustin Kittleson. I am the co-founder of ROI Works, and I am the engineering manager at the company.
Very cool. And what do you guys do? Because we're not going to talk too much about your company, right? Because that's stealth and coming out in January. But you guys really have a handle. Immediately I picked up you have a handle on SEO, marketing, how local businesses can build themselves on Google and stuff like that. I guess you've been helping businesses do that, right?
Yeah, I've been doing this stuff for, since 96. I've been doing SEO since 96. And I've been doing paid search since 2001. So definitely we're playing very much in the local search, local lead generation, and marketing analytics space, kind of all three.
Right. And so what are you seeing happen lately on Google and Bing and whatever? Yahoo's still there, right?
Of course. Yahoo's still very important. It's just so a couple things that we noticed is there are a number of service providers coming out who are targeting small businesses, and they're providing lead generation services of one type or another.
Right.
Some such as HubSpot are doing content management systems and providing organic leads and social media and a lot of coaching, etc. That's a very interesting model, we think. Some others are out there doing paid search and generating leads for you. Folks like Reach Local or Yodel. I'm going to name all these folks, but that's okay.
Yep.
As
long as you're accurate.
Yeah.
You'll get sued by
right.
if they're not.
Yeah, and I think these different service providers, mix software and service into some sort of offering, and they do so with a mix of effectiveness. But one of the big problems is a lack of transparency in some of these offerings. HubSpot's actually quite transparent, by the way, but we find some of the other service providers, they don't reveal how much of the budget of the small business's budget actually goes to media versus how much they keep. And the return on investment that these businesses get is pretty low compared to what it could be. So that's one of the problems we're trying to tackle.
Okay. So what are you seeing changing in the local marketing space right now? I mean, Google just announced that they're doing Twitter on the search result pages. So is that affecting anything, or are there other changes? I know Google's analytics have made quite a few changes in the last month, but what are you seeing happen that's different today than it was 6 months ago or a year ago?
Well, what's happening is that Google Analytics is becoming a much, much more robust platform, and so you can do a lot more things with it. But conversely, it's becoming more and more complicated for small businesses. One of the things we like to do the most is to just give small businesses a tour of Google Analytics, explain how it works, and then tell them to ignore 90% of its capabilities, and focus on 5 or 6 things that are really important for that small business. Things like bounce rate, things like your goals and conversion funnel.
Bounce rate is when a user comes into your website, doesn't like it, or clicks back.
Just leaves right away.
Leaves right away.
Yeah. It doesn't click any further, basically.
And what was the second one?
Your goal conversion funnel. So a small business might want you to pick up the phone, they might want you to fill out a form, become a member of their site, set up an appointment, and you want to track each page in that goal conversion funnel. Yeah. And what we're finding is that as you add more and more features to Google Analytics, it becomes a much more competitive product to Omniture, Web Trends, you name it. It always has been a very good product. We love Google Analytics, frankly, but we find that small businesses think that it's too complex already for them.
Yeah.
And so the other thing that's happening for small
most small. My brother owns a bar in Virginia.
Right.
He has no clue about any of this stuff, right? He runs a bar. That's what he does, and when he needs to get customers, he has to hire somebody to do it because he doesn't know what Google Analytics even is, and he doesn't have time to play around with it, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And in terms of real-time search results, anytime you add more stuff to the SERPs, to the search engine result pages, you displace other things by definition. So right now, Google's in, I think, a very experimental phase. They're throwing everything but the kitchen sink at the homepage, and that's how they are. They test everything, which is very smart. I question when they first brought out the real-time results, and I was part of that early beta, and so. I remember I'd search for a dentist and I'd see real-time conversation about dentists. I think they've cut down on that now. But I thought, gee, no, what I'm looking for is a local dentist.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to have to be really careful about when to bring in the real-time results and not. If I'm searching for news, then real-time results or conversation or buzz, like if it's Tiger Woods or whatnot, might be very relevant.
Yeah.
So I think that they're still refining that. But I think the first few weeks, I was like, man, this is useless to me and it clutters up my page.
Isn't part of the reason Google's playing around with the homepage so much that our usage of search has changed? I know in the early days of Google, I used to click through 3 or 4 pages, and look at every link, and now I just take the first link out. And I think the heat maps, the eye tracking maps that they're doing are showing that most people are clicking the first 1, 2, or 3 links because they're getting so good at putting what you actually searched for really high up on the page.
That's absolutely true, and not only that, but Google knows this very well, and so that's why they have what they call the 6-pack of the local search results, up there. There's a reason why they didn't put them further down the page. When you search for a local category, Google wants you to use the local search results. So they put them up higher, even above all the organic results.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What kind of tricks are businesses doing for, like you were talking to me about the local BMW dealership, and they were sort of getting screwed by another company, right? What's happening in the space? What should local businesses be looking out for?
Sure.
When they spend the $3,000 a month trying to get their internet traffic up.
So the first thing that local businesses should look out for is when someone approaches them. It could be a Yellow Pages company, it could be a local search provider, a local consultant, and says, "Give me $4,000, and I'll get you leads." And they very well might get you leads, but you need to ask what percentage of that is going toward media. I might be old-fashioned, but when I bought radio or television or print, I always knew that my agency got a commission for managing it and running it and measuring it, and I knew what that commission was.
Yeah.
And I negotiated that commission with them. And I knew what my media
What's the
spend was.
fair commission right now?
So, you mean for offline or online?
Online.
Online. So, it really depends.
Is it 20% of your dollar spent, or what should be the right number? Is it in the 20-30%, or is it in the 50%?
Sure. So if you're talking about very small spend, if you're talking about somebody who is going to only spend $1,000 a month total, then in order to have a few hours, a week of bid management, because the way search works, there's actually little search gnomes sitting there and day trading keywords in order to get you the results. It's not like radio where you do a commercial, it's in the can, then you keep running it, and then the month you do a reconciliation on the bills. It's not like that. With search, you need human beings to actually bid manage and adjust. So if you want good results and you're only going to spend $1,000 a month initially, then you probably need to spend somewhere between $2.99 and even $3.99, almost up anywhere from 30 to 40%. But as your spend gets higher, as you get up to $3,000 or $4,000, I think the fairest way to do it is your first few months where there's a lot of work, pay your agency or service provider a setup fee. Don't be excited that they waived the setup fee. The setup fee is what allows you to set up your campaigns really well. Pay them the setup fee. Make sure they do a good job. Then after the first 3 or 4 months, bring down the monthly bid management fee. And down to something reasonable. So if you're spending $3,000 or $4,000 a month, maybe $7,000, you're a big car dealership, maybe more. You probably don't want to be paying your agency more than $500 to $1,500.
Okay.
And how that plays out as a percentage of spend really depends on the customer.
Got it.
But either way, there should be transparency. That's kind of our pet peeve. We find that it's a great way to sign up a lot of small businesses to go out and offer them this, but it's a terrible thing to do. And you have high churn as soon as they get a little savvier.
What were some of the other 5 things that you tell businesses to look at?
Yeah. So that's one. The second thing businesses should watch out for is if their competitors take advantage of Google Local. So, for example, let's say you have a shop and it's located in downtown San Francisco. and you list yourself on Google Maps and in Google local search listings, and then either they call you or send you a postcard, you confirm your location. Well, your competitor decides to take out, 27 P.O. box addresses. They create 27, fake phone numbers, and then they pretend like they have 27 locations throughout Northern California, and then they funnel all of that via, IP telephone number to a single number. It's a very clever strategy, but it's unfair competition, and Google hasn't found a great way to combat that as far as I can see.
Okay.
So you should watch out
So
for
people
that.
are doing that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Wow.
You're doing it all the time. Yeah.
What are some of the other dirty pool that people are doing?
Big brands are doing that. It's not just your local three location shop that decide to be clever, or the locksmith category is notorious for doing that kind of thing. Other kinds of things that people are doing. I think there's continued attempts by people to do a lot of really clever things with SEO. When we do SEO in our services side of our business, we've always been very much white hat, and then we understand gray hat techniques in order to combat black hat techniques. So we understand how you can track and trace if someone's doing weird things like...
White hat just means that Google likes it, right? That they're cool with it.
Pretty much.
Black hat means you're breaking all sorts of rules, and you're in threat of getting kicked off if Matt Cutts figures out you're doing it, right?
Exactly.
And gray is sort of, it depends what side of the bed Matt wakes up on.
Right. I mean, what we do is, we generate tons of good content. We coach our clients on how to do it. Yeah. We make sure that they have lots of
Matt Cutts,
links.
by the way, for people who don't know, runs the spam team, anti-spam team at Google. So.
And is a great and very reasonable guy. Matt, hi Matt.
Yeah.
But you have to understand some black hat techniques, which I call that like gray hat knowledge. You have to have the knowledge to be able to fight it.
Yeah.
I'll give a great example. There's an adoption agency I've been on the board of for many, many years. And one day, we were just doing a routine check, and we noticed that they had all these links coming from sites that we never expected. Yeah. And when we checked, these sites had made an exact duplicate copy of the content of this nonprofit adoption agency site, and then they put it up on GeoCities, rest in peace, and then they put porn all around it and all throughout. Now, clearly this was a competitor that was trying to make sure that this adoption agency, which specialized in Russian adoption, didn't come up for the phrase Russian adoption by confusing the engines and to say, oh, it's all about porn. Well, we had to do like a cease and desist, and then we had to talk to GeoCities, and we got those fake sites taken down. But that's an example of duplicate content and semantically confusing the engine.
Yeah.
So those kinds of dirty tricks do exist, and I think it's important for small businesses, if they suddenly see a drop in traffic, or if their consultants do, then they need to be aware of that.
Wow. It's so much you have to... I've seen people do that with my blog, and I really don't care. But now I know why they're doing it, right? They're trying to get me kicked out of Google, right? So, or reduced. So
yeah, it's all about teaching Google's index what you're about, or confusing it.
Yeah.
A lot of black hat techniques have to do with confusing, have nothing to do with optimizing yourself. They have everything to do with hurting the optimization efforts of your competitor.
Yeah, and a lot of businesses don't optimize their own pages even today, right? They don't think about the title tag very well. They don't know how important that title tag is to search engine results, right? Or the URL that you pick, right?
That's right.
Because if you're trying to, a lot of businesses don't think about how people find them on Google, right? So this is part two.
Sure.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah, you're right. A lot of businesses really don't know much about SEO. There's a lot of misperceptions. Like, a lot of them think that your meta keywords is important. They think stuffing a lot of meta keywords. It doesn't matter. A lot of them think that your meta description is important for SEO. It's actually not important for SEO at all. It's just important for conversion in the search results.
Interesting.
Meaning that if your meta description actually is going to be 9 out of 10 times the thing that comes up in the search results. So you want to make it compelling. So what people make the mistake of is they take their meta description and they write lots and lots of keywords into it, and they make it really ugly.
Yeah.
And they make it too long, so it gets cut off. So they get half the visits that they could get if they actually wrote a well-written meta description, and they realized meta description has nothing to do with rankings in Google at all. But it has everything to do with once those results come up, whether people click.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of misconceptions like that, and a lot of search consultants are out of date. And I don't mean